Dating advice. So the internet is awash with so many people giving everyone a lot of different types of dating advice and teaching people how to date in different ways. And a lot of this advice targets boys, especially. We are victims of so many people who are telling us how to approach girls, how to talk to girls, how to get girls' phone numbers, how to sleep with them, and all of these things. And the thing is, considering the fact that there are a lot less guys getting laid these days, something tells me that the dating advice isn't actually working. So I'm going to try and give you some dating advice that actually worked for me, and hopefully this helps you. Dating advice number one, and this is probably the biggest of them all, is watch who you're taking your advice from. Now, when I say watch who you're taking advice from, this cuts across to everyone. If you are listening to a guy who is considerably more handsome than you, he's richer than you, he's more successful than you, he's more famous than you, or more popular than you, and this guy is giving you dating advice, that dating advice is not going to work for you. Because a lot of these very good looking people are almost how do I put it? They are oblivious to how good looking they are because that's how they have looked their entire life. And they are almost immune to the effects of that beauty, at least on them. And they are used to people approaching them in various ways, talking to them in various ways, and being a certain way around them. If a guy is incredibly good looking, it's going to make it a lot easier for him to approach women. He'll be able to say almost anything, and from that, he'll be able to get the woman. We've all seen those memes on the internet whereby you see the difference between flirting and sexual harassment is how good looking the guy is. Those memes are true. It's real. You have to take into consideration how good looking you are before, in relation to the person you're taking dating advice from, before you actually consider that dating advice to be authentic. And the same thing happens for women. If you're a woman and you are maybe a 5 out of 10, you cannot be taking dating advice from a girl who is like an 8 9 out of 10. Those are the worst people to be taking dating advice from, because a lot of those women, 90% of the time, they don't even have to do anything and men just flock towards them. So one of the things you have to really take into consideration, guys, is how good looking is the person who is giving you this advice? Are they considerably more good looking than you? And if they are, trash that advice because it's not going to work for you. Second thing is experience. As a guy, what you want to do is you want to talk to, or at least try and talk to, as many females as possible. Numbers matter. Trust me, numbers matter. And when I say as many females as possible, go broad spectrum on this. A lot of guys have the habit of only picking one category of woman, meaning they only want to talk to girls who are, let's say, 7 out of 10. And those are the only girls they want to talk to. But the interesting thing about dating advice is, to some degree, a lot of it cuts across, because a woman who is a 4 out of 10 can act like she is a 7 out of 10 or she's a 10 out of 10. And so some of the advice that works, or some of the tactics that you find will work on the 7, will also work on the 5 and the 6 and the 4 and the 3. So you just want to get as comfortable as around women as possible, and you just want to put yourself around as many of them, and you want to talk to as many of them. And here's the real kicker. If you have zero intentions when you're talking to women, it makes the interaction that much easier. A lot of guys get very nervous when they're talking to women because they want that, either they're trying to sleep with the girl, or they are trying to take her on a date, or they are trying to get her number. I will talk to the most the most beautiful girl in a room and walk away without getting her number and be comfortable with that. And you as a guy have to get comfortable in that. because what you're supposed to get comfortable in is just the interaction. Because if you get good at that, then you'll be able to get good at building everything else. Like you'll be able to get good at flirting, you'll be able to get good at being confident around women. And the idea is you have built all of that on the foundation of, first and foremost, you're comfortable talking to them, you're comfortable just being around them. So first and foremost, if you are if you are very nervous around very attractive women, start with women who are not as attractive. Get comfortable around them, and then get a hotter friend, and a hotter friend, and a hotter friend, and a hotter friend, and just work your way up the ladder until eventually you are so comfortable around the prettiest girls you've ever seen, and that helps. At least that dating advice really worked for me, because I remember at one point when I was back in university or in college, I made it a point to get about 100 phone numbers from 100 different women, and I got bored once I reached like 74 there. And it became the whole purpose of that process was to just get me comfortable around getting somebody's number. And so when women see that you're comfortable around them, they become more relaxed around you, and they become comfortable around you. And from there, you can actually build relationships. The next part is get yourself in shape. Go to the gym a bit. If it's very difficult for you to walk into the dating world when you don't really have a lot to offer. At least you should figure out one area that you can invest in a lot, and that becomes your edge. I'll give you an example. If, let's say, you are not very tall, you can't really get more height, but you can get smarter. So read, and use your intellect to get you around intellectual women, and that will help you actually build relationships from the basis um, of being intellectuals and of being smart, because there are women who are obsessed with smart guys. Another thing is, maybe you are not very smart, but you're tall and you have a good frame. Go to the gym, get very good, get a very good body, build yourself up. There are women who are obsessed with a guy who has a six pack. Figure out something you can work with and work with it really, really well. Every guy can have an edge in the dating world. Trust me, all you need to know is how to pick your angles, and from those angles, go in on those angles really, really hard. If you are, maybe you're not very tall, maybe you're not short either, but let's say you're antisocial. Being antisocial is a bit tricky, but you want to pick people who are in that very same category, and you want to seek out people who are just as antisocial as you are. And so you want to sort of step into a social place, but look for the person who is trying to step away from the crowd. And those become your targets. Those are the people you talk to. Because trust me, antisocial people understand other antisocial people. And you two can run away together. So, as a guy, every single guy has something they could use, just something. And from that thing, you can get so good at that you use that to attract women. So, based off of these three things mainly, I think this will actually help you to start building a real connection with the opposite sex. And so, I could do a part two of this sometime later, but this should be the foundation of everyone's dating life. Do not try all of these sophisticated dating strategies. People are not complicated. They are not. You just need to one, you need to understand who you're taking dating advice from, because the guys you should be taking dating advice from should not be considerably better looking than you. They should not be considerably wealthier than you. The best guy to actually take dating advice from is a guy who is uglier than you, not as rich, but gets women, and also not as famous, but has access to women and has the ability to talk to women. Those are the people you should be getting dating advice from as a guy. And as for all the other things, it requires practice. Just put yourself out there piece by piece. Do not rush into it. Take your time, and eventually you'll be able to build up a roster or at least an understanding of what the type of women in your circles want, and then lean into that and work with that to the best of your capabilities. See you on the next one. So that's my opinion. Feel free to let me know what you think in the comments.